So what we're going to do is I'm going to just pop into secondary because they're both the same. Within this assignment, what you're going to see is the instructions. And so I'm going to click on view the assignment, and that's what you would click on as a student. And then you're going to do 3 things. And so the main thing you're doing here is you're creating your Google Classroom, and then you are utilizing the collaborative Google Slides to take a screenshot of your classroom and answer some questions about your classroom. So you're not really, we're not asking you to do a ton of different things there. And then when you're done, you can turn your homework in by mark as done to submit the assignment. There's 2 resources here to help you guide you through this. The first one is the step-by-step instructions. And so that is at 001 Google Classroom, setting up your classroom. And then there's also the slides, which is where you'll kind of show us your work. So here is the classroom. And this is one of the things, so when you are in your classroom, so we'll go back to Google Classroom. So when you're in Google Classroom, this is your page with the tiles. And so one of the things that I've mentioned a number of times is the Hamburger Menu. And that is the 3 lines that's right next to Google Classroom. That's your Hamburger Menu. And when you click on that, that can show you the classes you're in. It also can show you your settings, et cetera, et cetera. And so your Hamburger Menu will take you back to your main page here, but it's also where you can find your archive and that type of thing. So does that answer your question, Karen, or do you still have more questions? Okay, so I'm going to mute you all. Okay. So then I know that I had a couple of questions from Yvonne and Monica. And so what would you like to do? Do you want to share your screen, one of you guys, and then we can kind of step through everything? Would that be the easiest? Yvonne and Monica? Okay, you're trying to unmute. Okay, Monica. Let's see. Or Yvonne. Okay, I can hear you, Yvonne. Yay, okay.
Thank you. You wanted Monica to share the screen with me or what?
Either you or Monica, I don't care. One of you two. We'll share, and then we'll be able to collab. You know, we'll be able to go through the steps.
Okay.
Well, we were struggling while you were on your screen.
Okay.
We're really echoing.
You are.
Sorry.
Let me see if I can mute.
Who else is in the room with you?
Kirby and Yvonne and I. Okay, when you were on your screen, we couldn't get anywhere, but evidently we didn't hear you tell us to go to Google Classroom. So I think we missed a step. So if you could show us what to do, that would be awesome.
Sure, we can do that. So I'm going to mute you guys back up. But you can unmute if you need to. Okay, so where we're at, how do we get to Google Classroom? So how I encourage you guys to go to Google Classroom. So I'm going to share my screen. Is I had us go to, and we'll do a new guest window so that we'll go from scratch. So I just go to ohitika.com and then go to the Google Apps and log in with your Ohitika email. And then once I did that, you'll see that I have the waffle in the upper right-hand corner, and I click on the waffle. And then I see lots of options for things that I can do. And one of those options is Google Classroom or Classroom. So once I click on Classroom, then that brings me into Google Classroom. So you guys, we have two things going on. You're making your own classes, but you also are a student in this Google Classroom Eagle Butte. And so to join a class, you click the plus in the upper right-hand corner, and then we'll click join class. And this is new, and I love this. It tells you who you're signed in as. And so if for some reason you are signed in with your Gmail account or you're signed in with your K12 account, this will tell you you're not signed, it'll tell you what you're signed in as. And so you can switch accounts if you need to, if you are not at your Ohitika account. And then you can do your class code. And so the class code, is right here. And so I'll drop that in the chat. And then I can read it to you too if you need me to. And so once you put the class code in, then there is the join in the upper right hand corner that will turn blue, and you can hit that join. One of the things, I can't join because I'm the teacher of this class, and so it won't let me join, but you guys can all join. You do have to be using your Ohitika account, and this is where I encouraged you guys to share your class code with a couple of colleagues so that you can be teachers in each other's classes and see what that looks like.
Okay.
Do we get to go back on our own screen now?
Sure. All right, there you go. Oh, Tim, excellent question. So you want to know, is it better to have separate classes for each subject or just one class with all the subjects in it? And how do you move assignments to another class? That is a super question. So Monica and Yvonne, can you see anything if we share our screen, or does it really mess you up?
Nope.
We still can't do anything.
What do you mean you can't do anything?
Where are you going?
Well, we had to minimize you.
So if you can, you can minimize the Zoom window if you want. So in the upper right-hand corner, there is the single bar, and then there is a double box, and then there's the X. The X will close the window and take you out of the meeting. But the single bar will just minimize it, and you can take that away if you want to. So Tim, are you comfortable sharing your screen, or do you want me to show you on mine?
Show me on yours.
Okay. That's fine. All right, so Yvonne and Monica, I'm going to model this for Tim. And so you guys should be able to hit escape, and that will allow you to access other resources on your computer, and you should be able to alt tab or click on the Zoom or the browser window that you want to be in. So I'm going to click share. And you asked that lifelong question of what is easiest. It really depends. So Tim, what grade do you teach? Or fifth grade? Never mind. I could read your name. Sorry. So you asked, is it better to have separate classes for each subject or just one class with all the subjects in it? And how do you move the assignments to another class? So I will go kind of back and forth with my Google Classroom class for you guys, and then this copy that I made of your class. So when you're looking at your topics, and remember when we were looking at the resources for this assignment, there are those two different articles there when we talk about topics. And so I think that's down under the blue here. We'll see if Ditch That Textbook will open up or not. I don't think he is going to. But Shake Up Learning, she gives a number of different suggestions. And I think you just need to think about what's going to be make the most sense for you and your students. And so if we think about it, if you go down and do, like she talks about for subject areas, using, organizing by subject areas for elementary, you could do that. So you could just have your 4 main subject areas in there. And then the students, everything will be in one classroom. Everything will be there. You have to realize for your elementary peeps, they're probably going to have, they're going to have your class. And so they'll either have one of your classes or 4 of your classes. And then they'll have a PE class, most likely. They'll have a music class. They'll have potentially counseling, and then they could have library. So they could have a number of classes. But if we look at your screen, when we look at our grid, you can have about 8 classes on your screen, and they're fine. So how you decide to organize your classes is really going to depend on if you want to have like your language arts be dedicated and to be able to get more granular in there and to be able to utilize like different topics, or if you want to have language arts and then have it be there. I'm going to show you an older class or another class that I did, and you can see it gets kind of unwieldy kind of quickly. So these are the floating assignments. This is an assignment, this is the different topics, but you can see it gets, there's a lot of stuff here. And so if I'm going to have reading, math, science, but at the same time, I can click on a topic, and that is, so I can say, hey, here's my topic for the day, or we're in English right now, so click on English, and here it is. And now we're going to go to math, and here's all the topics for math, or all the content for math. And so I think you're going to need to kind of think about it, Yes, we can definitely talk about more detail tomorrow. I can bring you some more examples, and I'm going to encourage you to look at the examples too. Let me get back to us. I'm going to encourage you to go through and read the Organized from Ditch That textbook, and then also um, read through Casey Bell's article, in more detail, just to make sure that you get all the nuances, because this is really how you and your students want to be organized. So Tim, your next question is, how can I move content from one assignment to another, or one class to another? That is actually, it's like so slick. I love it. So when I go to create, I can reuse a post. And so at that point, I can pull something from my sandbox class. And because I don't have a ton of classes over here, I mean, I have a couple of archive classes and stuff. I don't have a ton of content to pull from. I've been actually making assignments kind of from scratch because I'm bringing it, because I don't really live in your domain. But my K12 domain, I have a lot of content. So I'm going to use our current class, and I can say I want to reuse the session recording, because I'm going to actually post your recording there after we're done. And so I can say I can change its name, I can change its description. I'm going to have to add another piece of content there, so I'm going to have to add the video once it's ready. And then I can give it its topic, and I can schedule or save or post. And so it's a really quick way to create my assignments and reuse them. So reusing is a really good way to do that. The other thing I can do is, if I had multiple classes of you guys, like science, and I'm going to be giving, and so like elementary music, if you have 4 sections of elementary music, or for 4th grade, you could assign the same stuff out, or give the same materials out to all 4 sections in one fell swoop. So I think what I would do, C Charger, is spend a little bit of time looking at your content, and we can definitely look at some more examples tomorrow. I can give you some more examples, but the challenge is everybody's content is going to be a little bit different. Tim, does that help answer your question?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing again. And I will, so tomorrow I am going to post examples that are specific for, like, so you teach math, or so you teach, those different content areas. I am going to post specific content areas. I have stuff for the CTE peeps. I have stuff for the music peeps. So I will have that with examples of how you can use Google Classroom in that content area, because depending on what content you teach, it can you will want to kind of think about it differently. So how are you doing, Yvonne and Monica? Are you doing okay? Any other questions? So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to kind of talk about your question real quick. So you ask, if I create one class for all of my classes, does it affect the class code? So one class is one class code. This class only has one class code. However, if I copy this class, so I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to say, okay. Once I copy this class, I now have 2 copies of this class going on. And each copy is going to have its own class code. And so I will have a class code for this class, a class code for this class, and a class code for this class. So once you copy them, and so like when I talked about creating your structure for your, like your main course, then before you start adding assignments, etc., I would copy your courses. So you teach 4 sections of 8th grade English, you're going to want to make your 8th grade English section 1 and then copy it 3 more times, and then rename it so it's 8th grade, section 2, section 3, section 4. Each section will have its own join code, but each section will be set up the same way. So you'll have the same topics, you're going to have the same grading structure, you're going to have the same settings. And so if you said, I don't want to, the students can only comment on my posts, that type of thing. So it allows you to do that. So does that answer your question? Awesome. Okay, so we did James. Okay, wonderful. So let's see. So Tony elaborated, you had computer issues, keep shutting down internet. Okay, so we are recording this and I'm recording this and I recorded the other sessions too. So if you need to go back and watch things, you can do that. Gregory, does this apply to physical education? Yes, it does and it can. The nice thing, excuse me, with this, with using Google Classroom is it gives you that opportunity to provide the information to the students, and everybody gets that information. It's the same. And so depending on, like in PE, great for health, great for if you are giving the kids, like they're playing a game, but they need to know the rules first, and they have to take a quiz before they can go on. Really great for organizing all of that. So it's a really good tool for PE. Cheryl, do you have to rejoin the class every time you log on? No, as long as you are in Google Classroom with your OHEDIC account, when you come into Google Classroom, each time it is going to show you all the classes that you have both created and that you are a student in. Okay, awesome. Well, that was a wonderful flurry of questions. We still have half an hour though, so ask more questions. So Tony, if you missed stuff because you kept shutting down with the internet, I can go over it again. I mean, this is office hours. This is the whole, you ask your questions and I go through and model it again. So if I don't have questions, what we get to do, and I actually like doing this too, is we're going to hang out with our homework. And so when I'm in our homework, and so we'll do elementary first just because they've had more time. So we're going to look at the slides. Ah, somebody edited the background on everything. Awesome. This is the beautiful thing of having collaborative slides. So what I love about this is we have an opportunity to go in and check out everybody's classrooms and be able to look at their questions and stuff like that. And so if you don't have questions, I will scroll through this and see if I have any other questions that we can address. And you can unmute and
I
talk.
am not comfortable with everybody seeing my lack of skills.
Oh, okay. We don't have to do that then. I'm sorry.
Okay, just saying.
Yeah, no,
I'm speaking.
no, thank you. Thank you for speaking up. And that's fine.
How do I ask her?
What?
No, I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. It's me, Yvonne.
Hi,
Hey,
Yvonne.
that you're recording and we could watch it again. How do
Yes.
we do that?
So they're on YouTube. And so once you so they're posted. Well, this morning session is on the post. The afternoon one isn't there yet. But so if you go into your classwork, you're going to see that you have the session recording, and you can click on it. And it's just a YouTube video.
Thank you.
Hmm. And they'll be posted within the assignment, so you can do that. Okay, other questions?
So could you show us that 001 thing? How to get to it? And
Oh yeah, of course. Okay, so two questions that have popped up now. So we will go. So how do we get there? So we're going to go back to Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to my waffle, and I'm just going to go to Google Classroom, so we're there from the beginning. You guys at this point should have your Google Classroom Eagle Butte, but then you may have your demo classes and stuff. So to get all the assignments and things that we're working on, you're going to want to go to the Google Classroom Eagle Butte. And then from there, you're going to want to click on your classwork. And so this is something that when I'm working with students, I would want to say, hey, you know, the stream is where I'm going to do the announcements, and the classwork is where you're going to find all of your homework and talk about how it's organized. So when I'm looking at our classwork for this one, for this morning's class, you guys were doing the 001 assignment. In this afternoon's class, you did the 002 assignment. And so it's the same assignment, just different numbering, just so that you guys weren't all on the same slides. So if I click on the 001 assignment as a student, I'm going to be able to see the slides here. And then I also have the instructions, which is the Google Doc. And that's the handout that kind of gave you the all of the links and everything. And so somebody earlier in the last session asked about, you know, how to organize links, because when you create an assignment, they don't, if you say, oh, I want this link before that link, I have to delete links. I can't rearrange links. Whereas if I organize them in a Google Doc, I can arrange them however I want. So that's how I deal with that. But so this is how, so if I want to get to the instructions, I click on that. And if I want to get to the slides, I click on this. So does that answer that question? And then Gregory, you want to know how to get to the video from this morning? So for this morning, to get to the video, we're going to go back to our classwork. And if you want this morning session, I dropped it in the Google Classroom Elementary here. And so it is right there at the top of the list for Google Classroom Elementary. So you need to be in the Google Classroom for Eagle Butte class, the one that you're a student in, to find that. Okay, yep. You can go back and watch any of the classes that you want to. That's not a big deal. So question about G and T classes, can they be only individual and groups, or have you seen GT class setups? Can you use Zoom? Can you translate what G and T stands for?
Gifted and talented.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry, thank you. It's been a long day. I can't think of anything. Um, so, that's a great question. And you can do kind of whatever you want for gifted and talented. And so you can do a couple of different things. You could, if we wanted to, within a class. And so if you've got a subset that are in a class, you could be a co-teacher in a class and then do a just assign certain things just to the students that it's relevant to. And so you could go in and you could just assign to the students that are part of that group if you wanted to do that. So that could be one way that you could do gifted and talented. Is there privacy associated with the gifted and talented, like special ed?
Yes.
Okay. And so if that's a situation, then I would definitely do the push-in model, where I was in with the teacher. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to do the individual, where you set up a class for each student. So hope that answers your question. And yeah, you can use Zoom if that's what your district is using. Oh, Yvonne, the Guardian view. Yes. So Guardian view is such an awesome thing. And so I'm going to pop into our class. I'm going to look at my people, and you're going to see that I have, why don't I see people? Why don't I see guardians? What am I doing? So you may not have Guardian view on, you guys. So that would have to be something that we would have to have turned on for your district. I'm going to show you Guardian for the what the K12 Guardian looks like real quick, and then you can make that decision. And so when I'm over here in a K12 class, you're going to see this option here for invite guardians. And so this is something that has to be turned on in your domain. And really, the Guardians is nice because what the Guardians gives you is it gives you that ability to, they get an email. If you send them an email and say, do you want to opt in to being a Guardian? And then they get they get that email and they can set up, how often they want to get the emails, etc. But they get notification of assignments. They get announcements. They do not get any class discussion. And so anything that is class discussion-y, they do not get that. And so and they can't see individual work of the students or anything, but they can see an assignment, and they can also see that the assignment is missing. And so the turning on the guardians is something that I would consider just to help facilitate that communication within your district, because then your parents will get if you send out if you post an announcement on your stream that says, we're doing XYZ, the parents will get that. They will not get the discussion, but they will get the announcements. So totally, a great question about Guardian View, and that's something that would have to be turned on in your district, because on our settings, Guardian summaries is not an option in yours, and so that means it's just not turned on in your district. So I will ask Cora and Galen and Cody about that. So thanks for asking that. All right. Question about, does this does not have to align with what we are supposed to do with Plan Book, or is this a substitute for Plan Book? So a little more clarification on Plan Book. Do you guys do you have like the paid Plan Book? Do you use Plan Book? Okay, you're required to use Plan Book. Okay, so there is, you can use Plan Book and Google Classroom together. And so that is something that I will add a assignment in with some resources on the Plan Book side, just so you have that, okay? I did not realize you had that requirement to use Plan Book. So let me see, I've shared this with a colleague. So let me see if I can find it real quick, and I'll show you guys the Plan Book stuff. So you do not need to do anything with a slide to save it. All you have to do is do your edits on it, and it'll automatically save, because we're doing this in the cloud. And so that's kind of nice. So so in the chat, I'm dropping a couple things for Plan Book, and I will also make them an assignment, since you guys need to use Plan Book. Is that a K12 thing, or is it just a certain grade level, or does everybody use Plan Book? So this is a sample of how a teacher used Plan Book and Google Classroom together. And then this right here is how do you connect your Google Classroom and Plan Book together? And so you can connect your Google Classroom to your Plan Book account. And then they have a little video here for that integration. And I don't have paid Plan Book, so I can't really tell you exactly how it looks. Oh, so everyone uses it, 2 through 6 use it, okay. All right, well, I will definitely make sure that we have a Plan Book connector there, because you can use it you can use them together. You guys have been asking so many great questions. This is so fun.